Commissioner Clayson, is that right? Did you
Yeah.
add anything?
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit of background in regards to Kane County. Again, we're pleased that you came and visited with us and that we have a chance to participate in the education process. Kane County has a rich background in natural resource uses in our area with cattle, timber, and mining industries as well. And I think that we're happy to show the uses of those and how that those activities were done in an environmentally responsible way, because that's important to us. Kane County is also known for our county seat of Kanab as being Little Hollywood. And Kanab was used a lot with the Western movie industry because of its scenic backdrop and the wide variety of scenes that could be found within short distances there. And so we've always valued our scenic and background and quality of life, and one of the things that's been important to us in Kane County is to be friendly. It's one of the friendliest places that I think you'll find in the world. And so in Kane County, as we've lost a lot of our natural resource-based economy, we've lost a lot of our families and what we would entitle family-sustaining jobs. And so we have initiated efforts with our Economic Development Department to focus on long-term growth of family-sustaining jobs. And so jobs that have a wage that would be $2,500 a month and higher. And we're focusing on two major areas. One being the natural resource industries and trying to assist in the creation of environmentally responsible active management of those programs. In our view, I guess the sad thing, and I wish this could somehow be portrayed, is you can go, for example, on the Kaibab forest and see the area that was being harvested and managed actively in a specific take this tree, leave that tree, harvest mechanism process, which perpetually gave the forest a young, vibrant management plan, which reduced fuel woods and storage of fuel woods, which would cause forest fires and other things. And you look at those areas and they're the most beautiful place on the forest. Conversely, you can look at areas like the Warm Fire. I would encourage you to go out and look at that this week if you have some time, which looks like the surface of the moon because it has not been actively managed, and forest fire is the inevitable tool that will eventually consume the buildup of fuel woods in the forest if we don't have a management program. Generally speaking, in these areas where there is a lot of vegetation and a lot of growth, if there's not an active management program, it would have the same effect if you decided to not manage your backyard at your personal residence. Not managing your backyard at your personal residence certainly isn't going to create a more environmentally appealing yard or something that would be beautiful for tourists to look at or anybody else. And so we would like to plead with those in the environmental extreme organizations to get on our side and look at what we would say is true responsible environmental management practices that leave us with a vibrant and beautiful forest and leave us with a vibrant and beautiful economy at the same time. And both of these are absolutely possible. And the neglect of our forest, which results in items like the Warm Fire, the needless killing of all the furry creatures that were associated with that, is I don't think what the intention has been of the environmental movement, but it can certainly be laid to rest at their feet. And so we need to really try to address these issues with better education. The second area that we're focusing on with our economic growth is a tie back into our movie industry, and also the fact that Kane County is a wonderful place to live, and we have been dubbed as the Wired West. And we are focusing on technology jobs and what we would call an economic gardening approach to technology jobs, and focusing on the digital media world, and trying to rely on the natural resources that are around us for their scenic quality and beauty and so forth. And yet we continue to find, even in these wilderness areas, that we can't even take a picture of these areas, and because of the policies that have been set up. And so that's another area where we feel like that there is a dichotomy of opinions that is resulting in things being tied up so much that humans cannot even view it anymore. And so those are things that we're trying to influence policy and try to do a better job at managing, so that those beautiful scenic areas can be enjoyed by more Americans and more people across the world. So we appreciate you being here. We really appreciate the opportunity for some educational outreach in our area. We've always felt, and many times, you know, I've met with some of the heads. I met with Bill Meadows of the Wilderness Society and stuff, and I told him specifically, come to our area and visit us, because to know us is to love us, and you'll learn a lot from that experience. And this is the first time I have seen where somebody has actually come to study on site, rather than to judge and write stories from, you know, thousands of miles away. So I really, really appreciate this.
Well, thank you for having us and taking the time. We started talking a little bit about the coal mine, and maybe you can give us your perspective on why it has been so controversial. Specifically, I'm talking about the new mine that could be expanded.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd like to address that a little bit.
Yeah.
Questions on why the mine seems to be so controversial. Number one issue is misinformation. I know that the Sierra Club has led out with a campaign to get people to respond to the EIS and provide comments, and has been very effective with a digital media campaign in that regard. And as you've seen some of the information that we presented, it is completely false and misleading. If I was somebody in California concerned about the environment, or as I sometimes phrase it, the loss of the rainforest. I'm in Utah and I'm concerned about the rainforests around the world. I really don't know that much about it. I have to rely on the information that I can find on the internet and so forth. And in regards to the Alton coal mine, there's been tremendous amounts of misinformation that I think have been garnered to incite controversy. And so items like the proximity of the mine, the fact that that a lot of people would think that they're going to go stand on some of these beautiful vistas and look directly down on a coal mine, those are completely misleading and false in every way. We've heard statements put together and reported in pretty credible sources that the Red Canyon is going to be black because of the coal dust and things of that nature, and they have very solid air monitoring devices that they have to maintain. They're third-party maintained. They cannot create any dust that was above the ambient dust that would have occurred naturally, and so we seem to be drawn towards the fears of misinformation, and that creates controversy.
I take an approach on that. But these are corporate issues. Each of the nonprofits that are involved in this are involved in fundraising and membership, you know. So it's in their best interest to find these kind of so-called quote-unquote bloody shirts and wave them in the air and increase revenues and funding. So I'm being critical, but I'm not being cynical about it. It just happens to be, I think, the functions that we get involved in. So from a citizenry standpoint, we have environmental preservation interests in our county, and we're very sensitive to that. We want to work with those folks and at the same time be good listeners. But when it gets around to external interests that have, other than the resource itself, it is their key concern, then I get really skeptical. And I have to tell you, I think this one is another one of those. I'm a refugee from the Spotted Owl Wars. I was in the timber industry for 30 years. And of course the question was raised, how do you know whether your harvesting is hurting habitats for owls or not? Well, the point was they didn't know. Now that they know there's plenty of owls, there's more owls in the Pacific Northwest on second and third growth forests than there is in the virgin areas. So sometimes these controversies help us understand better what it is we're doing, what we're setting out to do. So with objection, I think it's externally generated and not internally present in our county.
Mayor, Commissioner
Yeah,
Fox,
do
go
you,
ahead.
you want me to go first? Well, I have a hard time understanding why it is controversial in living in Panguitch and being a resident of Garfield County. If you go out and try to find the mine today, anybody off the street, you're gonna have a hard time. You were there. Is that hard to find? If you come off of 89 and went through Alton, would you be able to find the mine?
Nope.
Nope.
That points in the right direction.
Nope, you can't find it. The only thing you see, basically, is a few trucks. Now, if you put that coal in a Swift truck, you wouldn't know that there's any additional traffic. None. So the controversy, I have issue with the controversy. The controversy has been created. We didn't create it, as probably 95% of this town did not create the controversy. The controversy has been created, and that's why you're here. You've been notified and brought out here by somebody, all the way from Washington, D.C. And when you mention the word coal, it's like yelling shark, okay? Your industry, the environmental groups don't want coal. You've made that clear on your websites. But I've also got a little bit of background information on coal. It's 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Green energy, if you take the subsidies off, is 33 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, it takes a vibrant government to support that subsidy. So the vibrant government is running out. $16 trillion worth of debt, a budget deficit, you're running out of money as a government. So if you take the subsidies off from green energy, you're going to pay 33 cents per kilowatt hour to turn the light switch on. So I have a hard time wondering why this is controversial. And the coal industry has come a long ways. There is clean coal technology that is creating clean power. And, you know, I think that what we have to do as a country, and this area especially, is realize that these little small places like Alton that are environmentally efficient, environmentally protected and sound, we need them. We need these places. There's 300 billion tons of the most premium coal in the world tied up on the Grand Staircase National Monument. The Grand Staircase National Monument, some of it's scenic, some of it. Where the coal is the movie set from the movie The Planet of the Apes. Remember that movie? Raise your hand if you remember the movie The Planet of the Apes, okay? All right.
The
old
original?
one. The old one, okay? If you don't know it, get a copy of it and watch it. When Charleston Heston crash lands into the water, that's Lake Powell. He gets out and he wanders around for days and he can't find any form of life. And it's awful. It's like what you mentioned, a moon set, okay? It's like a foreign planet. That's where the coal is. The monument boundaries were drawn to protect the coal, to keep us from that coal. So we're well aware of the environmental agendas when it comes to coal. Let's be real about this, okay? We know what's going on. And the problem we have as a country is just like I told you. You're going to get to a point where you have to pay 33 cents to turn per kilowatt hour to turn the light switch on. And then coal's going to look a lot better. So, yeah, back to the controversy, I think that this county and this town is very supportive. Is that safe to say, Mayor?
Yes.
Of the Alton coal mine. We want more jobs. We want the production to go on. We desperately need it. The Kaparowitz was shut down in the early 70s. It really set off a chain reaction of events in this county that we're dealing with today. And it allowed them to come in and push these environmental agendas to shut down timber, grazing, obviously mining, okay? So when you talk about that, you have to bring out the other side of the story. But I have one thing to add, as Commissioner Mattson brought up the spotted owl. Okay, now because of these fires, the spotted owl could become extinct. Did you know that? A more aggressive form of owl, the horned owl, is probably going to take out the spotted owl that was protected. So how did that turn out? Go ahead, Mayor.
The controversy, I agree with the rest that a lot of misinformation has created that. I'm rocking again. You told me not to rock.
Thank you.
Oh, and we're not live here, so if you want to like restate anything, or you know, we can splice out all the jumble. So
Panguitch City is in a position now where we need some diversification. We cannot just be sustained with tourism. As we all know, the weak dollar has caused all kinds of declines in tourism. We're looking for diversification. The coal mine has brought that to us. The mining industry in general has brought that to us. We try to take issues that are brought to us, concerns that citizens have, we try to address those, do the research that's necessary to put their minds at ease, so that everybody is a happy community. That's kind of what we would like to see happen.
now you are all decision makers, and you have to be making decisions, and you weigh impacts and benefits. You know, as I'm sure you assume, we've heard a lot of folks who are concerned about some of the impacts of the traffic on the town and that sort of thing. How do you, in your role as an elected official, weigh impacts and benefits of a specific project?
Well, the BLM's economic or their environmental impact study addressed a lot of those issues, and the study showed that there would be no harm done to our historic buildings. I think everybody would probably agree with me here. In rural Utah, when an organization goes out and does a study and comes up with all these conclusions, we're going to believe them. If the BLM comes and tells us these coal trucks are not going to harm your buildings, I'm going to believe them. I feel like they've done all the necessary research. I have not seen any negative impacts on any of our buildings or anything like that in Panguitch City from the coal trucks. And in reality, I feel like in some ways we are discriminating against the coal trucks. There's such a small portion of the trucks that come through our community. Why are we picking on them to do damage to our buildings when there are 4 out of every 100 trucks that go through Panguitch? So,
As we look at transportation, you know, and what we do on our county roads networks and all that, we're looking at their capacities and their capabilities for those kind of activities. And all of them have to meet highway standards as such. And I suppose I feel the same way about a coal truck as when I get behind a Target store, truck delivering materials to market, that sort of thing. So it's a good sign. I mean, we've got jobs, we've got locations. Now, are there some people that don't want to see those? Absolutely. Are they in the minority? So far, I think so. If the majority of people really didn't want to use the highway system, I suppose we'd switch to a different culture and a different economy.
Any additions?
Well, if we're going in line, I'll go next, and Commissioner Clayson would like to follow this up, this discussion. The mayor hit it right on the head. It only increases the truck traffic by 3%. You put that coal in a Swift truck, you don't even know it's going through town. And this is not about the traffic, it's about the coal. So I can say that having a business that I have been there almost every day for 28 years, that's a pretty good indicator. There's really no businesses left. I think there's 3 total in my mind. I went through my mind when I came here, how many businesses there were then and how many remaining original business owners there are today. And I think there's only about 3 of us left. So I would hope that you talk to the people that have been here a long time and notice the traffic. The problem we have with traffic is the lack of traffic. The lack of traffic. Okay, 6 months out of the year, you could stand on one end of town and shoot a gun right down Main Street to the other end of town and not touch a soul. Looks like a ghost town 6 months out of the year. So the lack of traffic is our problem. We have a wonderful city government. And I see our manager back there, Alan Henry. These folks go out and they promote. They try to promote events. We've tried to do things like the Triple C facility, the ballpark. We do all kinds of things. We want you to come and see them. The Quilt Walk Festival, okay, the balloon rally. We want you here for that. Does that pay the bills year round? No, it does not. The reality of our situation is we have a local timber harvester here as well. He's concerned. Okay, the reality of the situation is in the winter we have no traffic for about 6 months. So it's the lack of traffic that we have to deal with as local leaders. And I want to take my hat off to Pancras City. They're doing everything they can, but we need more. Go ahead.
I would like to address that question with a couple of answers. First of all, as an elected official, we are accountable to the public and the citizens that we represent. And obviously, we wouldn't be elected as their representative if they didn't feel that way. And so we hear from them on a daily basis, and our voice, I think, does represent the united voice, collective voice of our citizens. Secondly, we have concerns expressed, and our Economic Development Director, Matt Brown, and I took a little different approach. We said, we're not going to trust any of the documents that have come out. We're going to be very skeptical. And before we visited the Alton coal mine for the first time, we sat down together and we made a list of what, 30?
Yeah, about 30 items.
30 questions,
Yeah.
some of them embarrassingly awkward questions. But we went there and we told them, we said, you know, we're going to ask every difficult question that we can, and we're going to invite you to respond to it. We hope that you'd actually demonstrate to us how you're addressing these concerns by looking at things in the field and on your site. If we can't have these first-hand answers, then we're going to lack the credibility that we need to stand before our citizens and answer these questions. And so we went up there and we asked every question that we can think of. And as we drove around, we thought of more questions. And we've been there multiple times asking questions and participating in the process and providing comments and having our resource committee members be involved in the process. And so that gives me a lot of confidence that we can stand behind and support the activities that are going on there. And so that's how we've moved forward, and we found that we've been invited in, that we've been able to see every corner of the mine and every activity that's going on, and been able to ask frank questions and been able to get satisfactory answers. And in addition, we've got an operation that's willing to take input. The citizens of Alton are the closest community to the mine. Recently we went to Alton and we took a tour group with Jeff Bradybaugh, the superintendent of Bryce Canyon, as well as some others, to try to make sure that they could understand the impacts, because some of their initial concerns were along the lines of what might be the effect here. And we called and asked, have you been to the site, have you had a chance to look at things? And they said, no. And so we invited them there to go there. The first thing we did is we stood in Alton City, which is about 1.5 miles away from Alton, and we said, now, be quiet, everybody. Be quiet. Listen now, just for 30 seconds or so. Could hear the bird, could hear a few things. Okay, that's the operation of the mine, in full operation that you're hearing. So, because sound is, one of the concerns. We went and looked at the mine. We looked at all the aspects of the mine, the dust monitoring, the water treatment, the water capturing requirements that they have, and all the aspects that they have in place. And so the citizens of Alton, for example, were asked before the mine came there, how do you feel? And every single citizen was contacted there, which I think is a pretty unique thing in today's world. And every single citizen except one household supported the mine coming there, and it was a split decision in that household where one wanted it and one didn't. And so that's the kind of support that you are receiving locally from the very closest community to that mine. In Alton, one of the things that they asked them, because it's an important thing in Alton, with their community and the people that they thought would be working there, and hopefully that being some of their citizens, is that the mine would not operate on Sunday. And the owners of the mine respected that, and they do not operate on Sunday, just out of respect for the community's wishes. So that's the kind of relationship that's been going on there that I think is phenomenal.
Now, sort of following up on that question of impacts and costs and weighing those, did the city or county do any sort of study on the cost benefits of the mine at all?
You want to start? Do you want to answer that, Matt?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time studying that and working to learn just what all the impacts would be as far as, from the payroll, the purchases of fuel, the operation of trucks, maintenance, some mechanical jobs, other contract-related jobs. I mean, we looked at all of those different things, spent quite a bit of time on that, trying to wrap our minds around just exactly what this would mean as far as financially to the area. Learned a lot, learned all about all the different extraction royalties that the federal and state government gets, and then how it's broken down, how they can return back to the area here. And property taxes, we researched out what would the effects be on all those different things. And so, and we submitted that to the governor of the state, a summary of that. And, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to, did you have anything to add? I'd like to address that from the Garfield side of American law. I started mine with the unemployment figures. And we had, what is very telling about when you study the economic benefits or the benefits of something like this. We had a little bit of a head start to put us ahead of the game. We had the company Headwaters Economics. Justin, we also have our planner here, 5-county planner. And they brought out this, what was basically a bogus study, because they included Washington County in their study, which is not part of the Grand Staircase National Monument, the economic benefits of that monument. And so we had to get out and get ahead of the numbers. And it was very telling. Garfield County economically is in a terrible state. It's in a terrible condition. We need jobs badly. That's what we have studied here in Garfield County. We need the jobs. And part of that study, that Headwaters Economics, out of, I believe they're based out of Montana, aren't they, Justin? Part of the
Wyoming or
Colorado.
No, another.
Bozeman, Montana.
Montana, yes.
Part of the misinformation was they was telling us, oh, this is wonderful. This public land is wonderful. And when you do any study and and you're trying to make a living, bear in mind, I'm a private business owner as well. I started with absolutely nothing and had to make my way up through the private sector. So I understand the private sector. The problem we have here is all the public land. And part of their study was they were promoting how good it is to have public land. The problem is it's bankrupted some communities in Garfield County. Escalante, for example. Escalante is in a terrible state of affairs as far as their economic condition. And we are very aggressive about trying to promote the things we can promote. All we have left is tourism. We're doing everything in our power to promote that, but it's not enough. You have to have the base paying jobs. The tourism jobs do not put 6 kids into a family to put them into a school, or 3 kids, or however many that you come up with. You need the base paying jobs. In Garfield County, I think that the number is about 15% unemployment, Justin?
In the wintertime, it gets higher than that, and in the summertime, of course, it drops below that. So it averages between 10 and 15%.
10 to 15%, and that's on the ones that file for unemployment benefits. A lot don't. So the real number, I'm going to say, is 16%. That's twice the national average of unemployed people in this county. So as local leaders, we're doing everything we can to try to promote the economy in this county, and it's very difficult because of the public land. And one of the problems we have with public land is it's not for multiple use anymore. You have to have multiple use on public lands. That is a thing of the past. Anybody back in Washington, D.C. that thinks that there's multiple use on public lands anymore needs to come out and have a conversation with me. I'll take them out for a full day. This county is being locked up and the key is being thrown away because we do not have access to our public land. We cannot use our public land anymore. Bear in mind, earlier in this interview, I told you what we had here when we had multiple use on public land. The evidence is clear on the ground. We had beautiful forests. We had prairies that were, because of grazing and water utilization, were beautiful. Look at it now. Look at it today. Look at the dead bud trees. Go to where there's a forest fire. That's the policies we have to deal with. That's the land of no use. The land of no use creates no jobs and creates an Escalante type scenario. Is that safe to say? So,
Can I just follow up on this economic analysis question? When you were doing this and asking your questions and that sort of thing, did you find that there would be any downsides or impacts to the city or the county? And if so, what were they?
In regards to economic analysis, I can't think of any negative impacts that we found. A couple of things that we looked at, there could be some, so I'll give you some hypotheticals. For example, our tourism industry, which is a great industry in our area, and used to be the icing on the cake because it provides a lot of seasonal and part-time jobs as well. So it created some extra spending money and those types of things. That industry is at the point right now where we're actually bringing in girls from Russia and Korea and stuff every summer just to fulfill the job. So creating a bunch of new jobs in some of that area may not in fact have a beneficial effect on our economy because we don't need those jobs. Now, we still do believe in growing those industries because it is a key segment of our future growth, but it can't grow on its own legs without a more balanced pie chart like we showed you here before. And so we would like to look at the sustainability of jobs, the year-round cycle of jobs. How many years will these jobs be going? Is it a boom or bust issue and those types of things? And so we've tried to look at those kind of things in regards to this, and largely because of the capital required, it can only ramp up so fast, and it's probably not going to get a lot of investment unless it can sustain itself for several years. And so we feel like that this will be a vibrant, sustainable factor that we haven't had to balance our economy out, which will then bring in more families, which will then have the labor force for the second income jobs and the seasonal jobs and so forth, and enhance our tourism-based economy at the same time. And so another factor to consider, and this is kind of a problem in America in general, and that is there are jobs that produce goods and services and produce original wealth. And there are jobs that are consumptive businesses that are only there because production takes place. So for example, grocery stores, doctor's office, dentist office, those business, you cannot come in and develop those. They follow production. They follow original wealth sustaining jobs. There are services to those jobs. We've kind of fallen into an economy in America, and even worse in our area, of having only consumptive businesses. And so that puts you on a very fragile economic trading plane where you're basically just trading money around in the community, but no additional money is being brought in from original production of goods and services. And so this kind of fulfills that niche, which would really round out our demographics and jobs. So, can I cut another thing?
Please.
I just need to mention, we have another appointment in St. George, so we probably are only good for about another 10 or 15 minutes. Some of these
But just
guys are
Yeah,
probably,
thank you for
these
spending
guys
time.
are
I know
probably
we
good
have to
for
wrap up.
hours and hours.
Oh, yeah,
You'll stay here for the
we'll wear
rest of the
you
day.
down.
No, I mean, we want to be respectful of your time.
Actually, on that point, you are, I mean, I got one more battery change here.
Yeah, I've got a comment on the economy, so.
Sure.